Thank you. We want to welcome our viewers of the Johnson City Government Information Channel on Charter Cable Channel number 192 and Comcast Cable Channel 17 to this live telecast of the June 13th, 2017 Johnson City Regional Planning Commission meeting. This meeting will be rebroadcast on Friday, June 16th at 12 o'clock noon. At this time, we'll go ahead and start our meeting. As Vice Chairman U.B. Rudd, go ahead and give us the invocation and the pledge.
Thank you. Let us pray. We pray for a better community, more peaceful and more caring, and we ask for the strength and courage to do what is needed to fulfill our common dreams. We pray today particularly for all those who are marginalized within our society, those whose inherent divinity is so often unrecognized, and for those who live and work in conditions we ourselves could not accept. For them and for all the people who find life difficult, we pledge ourselves in the task of helping make this city a better place, even if it is by simply a smile or welcoming word. Amen. Let's face the flag, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Phrase inherent word.
First item on our agenda will be approval of
Inherent
the agenda.
That's
Can I look for a motion to approve with the amendment that we consider adding someone to the Historic Zoning Commission?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor for approval of the agenda with the amendment, say aye.
Aye.
Next item up will be approval of the minutes of the May 9th, 2017 meeting.
Move to approve.
Moved for approval.
Second.
Second, Mr. Fowler. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. So, next item up that we have for tonight will be our new business. Item number one on the new business will be consideration of rezoning of the 701 East Maple Street Road.
That's correct. The petitioner, Brian Winston, is requesting a change of zoning from R4, which is medium density residential, to B3, supporting Central Business District. That is for 701 East Maple Street. The petitioner proposes to use the existing structure that is on the property as a retail store to serve drinks and goods and do some bicycle repair next to the Tweetsie Trails it sits. This is the current state of the building as it is. The building was once a commercial structure. However, it lost its legal non-conforming rights or grandfathering when the building became so dilapidated that to repair the building would exceed 50% of its total value. That is why this is before you today. The Johnson City Land Use Plan designates this area as being suitable for residential. The way the property is developed over the last several years and has been utilized, it doesn't really reflect the land use plan. There is over 8 acres of I-2 property, heavy industrial, as you see right here, within 2 blocks of the property. There's also some other businesses within the area. There's a B1 property at the intersection of Legion Street and King Springs. Staff feels that the requested B3 zoning meets the intent of the B3, which is the supporting Central Business District, and is intended to promote uses and services which are compatible with the downtown uses. Residential uses are encouraged in order to enhance housing opportunities for downtown employees, as well as existing and future residents in the expansion of the B2 district. With the addition of the Tweetsie Trail, Tannery Knob coming forward, and all the multi-use trails we're seeing coming about, this does seem like a reasonable location to place a bicycle retail store to service the immediate area. Transportation, the East Maple Street and Alabama are both considered local streets by our major street and thoroughfare plan. Staff does not feel that the streets will be overburdened by traffic and or use, considering that they are currently serving several acres of I-2 property right now, with numerous tractor trailers driving out daily. The petitioner did hold their neighborhood meeting. Staff has not received any calls in response to the rezoning. Staff is recommending approval of the rezoning to B3 for several reasons. First is the fact that although the land use plan has designated the area as suitable for residential, currently the neighborhood hasn't developed that way. The property is on the outskirts of the residential portion of the surrounding area, and so it'll still maintain a good buffer between commercial and to residential. Secondly, the business has been there since 1922, or the building has been there since 1922, and has been a staple of the neighborhood. We feel that it's reasonable to expect that this could go in and not affect the surrounding neighborhood more than it already has before in the past, that the surrounding residents should be used to it. Finally, it will provide an aspect of infrastructure for the city. The petitioner is proposing to allow users to utilize new bathrooms placed in the facility to help service the Tweetsie Trail. Currently, the city is trying to figure out ways to provide restrooms at the trailhead, and this would take care of that issue.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Do we have any questions for staff this month?
And Matt, B1 or B2 was considered?
Well, they really can't be considered because B1 doesn't offer the opportunity to have a retail sales. You could either do a small restaurant or maybe a very small gas station convenience center in B1. The B2, which is the next level up, is only reserved for the downtown core. So you're looking at only the 8 or 10 blocks that comprise the downtown. The B3 is the next most restrictive business district that really makes sense for this. It is supporting Central Business District, which they're less than a mile from the downtown. We have B3 properties that are much further away from the downtown core than what this one is, and it still doesn't go to the intensity of use like a B4 might.
Point of information, B3 is probably the most common thread that runs in the West Walnut Street District. If the West Walnut Street District, there was several of those put together because none of them applied, but B3 would be the one that would be most common. This area would be analogous to West Walnut Street in some respects, given its proximity to downtown, but not being in the city core.
It's an interesting district with the new development going on. It's probably deserves some more talk over time.
I definitely think so, yeah.
Any further questions for staff? Okay, thank you very much. Having said that, we're now open up public comment for or against this rezoning. Do we have anybody here wishing to speak for or against this rezoning on the 701 East Maple Street? Seeing no one coming to the podium, we'll go ahead and close public comment. And at this point, we'll open up discussion. Commission.
I'd make a motion to approve.
Motion to approve. We have a second.
Second.
Second. Please call the roll.
Commissioner Lowe?
Yes.
Commissioner Brody?
Abstain.
Commissioner Cooper?
Yes.
Commissioner Clark?
Yes.
Commissioner Bennett?
Yes.
Commissioner Pavlich?
Yes.
Commissioner Wise?
Yes.
Chairman Zion?
Yes. Thank you very much, Matter. Next item on the agenda is consideration of the rezoning property located on Timberlake Road.
That is correct. This is a request for rezoning of 3407 and 3409 Timberlake Road from R5 High Density Residential to B4 Planned Arterial Business District. The lot we're looking at here is actually split zoned, two different zonings. Half of it is R5, as you can see highlighted by the rectangle here that's hashed. It says site. Directly beside it, the property is kind of washed out, but it's actually B4 right now, and it's all one piece of property. Currently, the petitioner has a special exception granted to them by the BZA to allow for the outdoor storage of boats and RVs on the portion of properties B4. They're requesting to rezone the triangle there to B4 as well, so they can store more boats and RVs outdoors. If you all were to grant B4 rezoning to them tonight, they would still have to go before the BZA to receive this special exception in order to store the boats and RVs on site right now. On the right-hand side, you can see kind of highlighted by that black rectangle where the petitioner plans on storing the boats and RVs. He does not plan to build a structure on the site. There's a creek running through the middle of it, and it kind of hampers him where he can actually place a structure. It really is only good for parking and storing things right there due to the creek running through the middle of the property. As you can see here, aside from view from Bristol Highway there, the property is blocked by this large berm and growth of trees, and then also from Timberlake Road, that long swath of trees there is the border of his property. So the site that he's asking to be rezoned to B4 will not be seen from either Bristol Highway or Timberlake Road. Part of the special exception to be allowed to store boats and RVs outside is that he have a landscape buffer to minimize the visual from the roadway, which they're already achieving through this. Staff does recommend approval of the rezoning. The land use plan does designate the area as suitable for commercial uses. It'll provide for an infill development and will not negatively impact the surrounding area.
Thank you. Do you have any questions for staff?
Are you comfortable with the fact that the petitioner understands that the tree line is a natural buffer that needs to stay there?
I do. We went through that with him before on the previous BZA case, and he did know he had to install some trees for that one. So he's well aware. I don't think he wants to go through the expense either of having to remove them right now.
Any further questions? Thank you very much, Matt. Do we have anybody wishing to speak for or against this rezoning here at the meeting tonight? Okay, seeing none, we'll go ahead and close the public portion of that hearing and open it up to the commission.
Make a motion to approve.
There's a motion to approve from Mr. Pavlich.
Second.
And a second. Mr. Bodie. Please go ahead and call the roll.
Commissioner Lowe?
Yes.
Commissioner Bodie?
Yes.
Commissioner Cooper?
Yes.
Commissioner Clark?
Yes.
Commissioner Benedict?
Yes.
Commissioner Pavlich?
Yes.
Commissioner Wise?
Yes.
Chairman Zines?
Yes. And the next order of business tonight will be to consider the final plat of the Marvin G. Carter property subdivision on Matson Road.
Marvin G. Carter property under consideration is in the planning region of the Johnson City Regional Planning Commission. In other words, outside of the city limits, but the Planning Commission has authority to approve all subdivision plats in this particular area. Currently, it's a flat lot, and the property owner is proposing to subdivide it into 3 lots. The city does not provide sewer services in this area. TDEC has reviewed the plat for subsurface sewage disposal and has approved the lots. The Washington County has also reviewed the plat for zoning compliance and has indicated that the subdivision lots, the divided lots, meet the Washington County zoning ordinance. The Johnson City Engineering Division has reviewed the plats. It meets all engineering requirements. Staff is recommending that the Planning Commission approve the plat as submitted.
Thank you very much, Jason. So this being a subdivision plat approval, is this a recommendation we're making to the Washington County group, or that we are the final authority on the plat approval in that situation? Okay.
Yes. The Johnson City Regional Planning Commission's final authority.
Very good. I think is what you'd said, but I want to make sure I was clear.
So unlike zoning where it goes to them for a vote, they're done.
They're done.
This is it. Okay. Thank you. Do you have questions for staff? No? Okay. Thank you. Go ahead. Thank you very much. Go ahead and open this up for public comment. Do we have anybody wishing to speak? Actually, do we need public comment on? No. We're ready for this. I'm so used to the rezoning. Let's, we're opening this up for discussion.
If somebody really wanted to say something, we could probably.
We would go ahead and listen. All right. Looking for a motion or discussion.
So moved.
We have a motion from Commissioner Cooper.
And a second.
From Commissioner Bennett. Go ahead and please call the roll.
Commissioner Lowe?
Yes.
Commissioner Brody?
Yes.
Commissioner Cooper?
Yes.
Commissioner Clark?
Yes.
Commissioner Benedict?
Yes.
Commissioner Pavlich?
Yes.
Commissioner Wise?
Yes.
Chairman Zines?
Yes. Thank you. Next item on the agenda tonight is the consideration of abandonment of a 5-foot control strip at the south end of Jessica's Way.
The Johnson City Regional Planning Commission has a 5-foot control strip at the south end of Jessica Way. Jessica Way is a stub street. It was constructed as part of Burden's Ridge Phase 1, Creek Phase 1 subdivision. At the time of construction, the control strip wasn't created at the time of the recording of the final plat for this particular subdivision. However, in August 2016, the property owner who owned the piece of property, it was about 12.6 acres, acquired lot 32 of the Baton Rouge subdivision and added to his property, creating this 13.27 acres piece of property. He has since then transferred the property to a new owner who wishes to construct a driveway. When Baton Rouge subdivision plat was created, this was a concept plat. Jessica Way was intended to extend further south. However, these were the construction plans. When the subdivision was done, that extension was not made. The city still owns a right-of-way extending right up to the end of Jessica Way. It's still a public right-of-way. The owner of the property at 292 Jessica Blackwood Way has constructed a driveway within this public right-of-way, providing access to a garage on his property. The current applicant is asking that the Planning Commission abandon the existing 5 feet control strip in order for him to extend, to construct a right-of-way from this end into his property, the 13.27 acre property. Staff is recommending that because there is still significant undeveloped land and the potential that in future this could become a major subdivision. In that case, the right-of-way, the control strip will be necessary. Jessica Street Way could be extended as it was initially conceived. Staff is recommending that the Planning Commission maintain this 5 feet control strip. However, grant permission to the applicant to construct his driveway.
But there's not a control strip at the cul-de-sac.
Of course,
It's a lot.
no, there's no control strip.
And that was the intended access for this property at the time of that last purchase, correct?
Yes, sir.
And retaining the control strip provides us with the right to do what?
It provides us with a right to control any development beyond the control strip. So right now, there's a 5 feet control strip at this point. If anybody were to develop any property in here, that will involve an extension of that street, permission will be required from the Planning Commission to do that.
But would not the extension of that street require permission of the Planning Commission regardless of whether there was a 5 foot control strip?
Yes, it will.
Okay. So what does retaining the 5 foot control strip get us?
If any of these properties on this site, it's common that cities will condemn, you can condemn areas of property for construction of streets. That just happened on VA Access Road. The city just condemned part of that, an area of an adjoining piece of property for the construction of street. So if in future this piece of property were to develop and the developer wanted to extend Jessica's Way into this piece of property, he will need permission. He could be stopped by this property owner. However, if it were in the interest of the city to permit that extension with the 5 feet control strip, this property owner could not stop that from
So
happening.
we're really controlling,
And
really
it,
maintain control of the non-blue property.
yes,
That's really,
Oh,
that's what it's there for.
that makes more sense.
That makes sense, yeah.
So don't see it.
Well,
Still
if
don't see it.
if in fact, excuse me, say something, show. I think.
Well, you got a 5 foot strip, but if somebody wants to get over there, you're still gonna have to condemn that land. I mean, you're not gonna drive on a 5 foot strip, so. I still don't understand what it's getting us, because we still have to come back.
Well, it may be we're talking about what the 5-foot control strip does as a general concept, not in this particular instance, because I think that might get to the root of your question.
It's not just the public transportation right away, but it's also the provision of utilities for any development that may come later, which the 5-foot would be useful. And-
without necessitating condemnation of property
And sometimes,
So
it's-
the utilities would travel along the 5-foot strip?
along the 5 foot, yes.
Okay, I'm
Up
with you.
to the property line.
Okay, so then there is a way, all right, but there's a way for this gentleman to use it as a driveway and us still keep control of it?
Yes,
That's
sir.
what you're saying?
Yes,
Okay,
sir.
all right, fine, thank you.
We're slow.
We're struggling along, bro. We're struggling along.
Hey, so I can ask,
Slow or thorough.
Yeah.
useful, the property owner is aware of this option that we are considering for providing him access or a special use, an exception, if you will, with the provisions that we maintain the control. And that also, as I understood, that if we were to have this street developed in the future, that he would afford the costs of whatever driveway modifications were needed to go ahead and meet up with whatever the public right-of-way or public street was. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And he's aware of that, and he's okay with that?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Provided with that information.
Well, do we want to say he's aware of it, or has that
Given
information
consent?
been shared with him? Because you don't control what he's aware of, you control what
What you told him,
Okay.
you're right. You're right.
Boy, we've missed you, Rise. Where have you been, Larry?
Semantics.
Well, no, but it matters.
Bernard,
Spit the hair 3 times.
let me ask you something. For legal purposes, and maybe Commissioner Wise can help us on this, is did the owner that put up the sign, Mr. Gary Lancaster, is he aware that we're about to abandon that control strip
No, we're not.
or not?
Considered it.
Okay.
But we're going to allow that driveway to go through there, so.
He might, yeah, I think city attorney ought to send a nice letter to him about that sign, so we don't have any issues of adverse possession in the future that create a lawsuit.
And there's actually 2 property owners,
Yeah.
right,
Right.
that are affected.
And
Well,
it's
depending
possible
on-
that when he was given the permit to extend that, some information was probably provided to him.
Who would know that?
Team?
I can't imagine he wouldn't know that that's a public right-of-way.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, you'd be surprised how people
Yeah.
forget.
I think engineering staff will give him permission to construct the driveway.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Do we have any more, thank you, just one moment. Do we have any more questions for staff? No, okay. And if you'll state your name, sir?
Tim Seaton, City of Johnson City Engineering
Okay,
Division.
thank you. I'm board. Go ahead. What did you want him to fill us in?
The engineer, he was the one in the engineering department would approve and issue the permit for the construction of this driveway.
Okay.
So he can better explain to the planning commission what was shared with the applicant.
Typically, we allow, when you apply for a driveway, a stub like that, we allow for them to pave a 12-foot strip. The guy on the left paved the first 12, the guy on the right paved the second 12, and we make sure that he understands has to be paved, the city regulation, the pavement thickness, 6 inches based on 2 inches of binder and 1.25 inch surface. And that was what was put on the permit.
Is there a piece of paper that he received that shows that that's not private property?
Yes, he understood that. Now,
But
we didn't
legally-
give him a piece of paper saying that, but he
So
understood
we're
that, yes.
dependent on his memory at this point.
Well, on his
Yes.
deed.
Right.
In his deed, yes.
And his deed, yeah.
Plat we're all looking at, sure.
What?
Chairman,
Okay.
so once they constructed this road to air specifications, and then if we add the control strip, will we maintain the road, the whole road up to the control strip for maintenance?
Alan, can you answer that?
We still have the control strip. The question is are we maintaining it as a public road?
Typically, it's just one 12-foot strip. This one's unique in that we have 2 people that did half and half. This one could probably qualify for snow removal because it is 24 feet wide, But those 12-footers that go down a strip to get to someone's house a little bit beyond, no, we don't maintain those. So this one, looking more like a street, would be easier to accept. The guys doing it are usually making the decisions.
Okay.
And so in this case, we have not accepted that stretch,
We have accepted the right-of-way,
right?
and we've allowed them to put pavement on there to our thicknesses.
But we haven't accepted that.
It's very possible that the people who plow snow, for example, don't know to take the plow down there. They could be told easily. It could be that if a pothole came down there, a question could arise, is that ours?
That's my question.
And it wouldn't happen automatically, is what I'm saying. It would require some question and answering. It's 24 feet wide, I would say yes, let's maintain it. If it was just 12 foot wide, looked like a driveway, we would stay off of it.
Thanks, sir.
Any more questions?
Thank you. Any more questions for staff? Thank you. At this point, we'll go ahead and open up public comment regarding the consideration of the abandonment of this controlled strip. Is anybody here wishing to speak for or against it? Seeing no one present, we'll go ahead and close opening the public comment section. And we'll open up the discussion with the commission.
I would move approval of the request to grant access for the driveway while maintaining the 5-foot control strip.
Second that.
We have a motion for approval and a second, and that is for, just to be clear, that maintaining the control strip and granting access and also holding them, allowing them to be responsible for the financial implications of future development, moving the driveway in the future, correct, as you worded it.
Or was it the wording as the staff has
The wording
presented
as
here?
stated.
Exactly. Yes, if that's easier.
That is.
Is that splitting a hair?
No, that's.
That's just better English.
No, that's
That's cutting the hair.
What hair?
Please call the roll.
Commissioner Lowe?
Yes.
Commissioner Rhodey?
Yes.
Commissioner Cooper? Commissioner Clark?
Yes.
Commissioner Benedict?
Yes.
Commissioner Pavlich?
Yes.
Commissioner Wise?
Yes.
And Chairman Zients?
Yes. Thank you very much. Sounds like that was a unanimous pass again, so. We'll move on to item number 5 on the agenda, which is the consideration of amendments to the Johnson City zoning ordinance.
Staff is proposing a series of revisions to the current Johnson City zoning ordinance. The first concerns section 3.5 of the zoning ordinance that deals with non-conforming lots. This is a provision that we will be adding to the text. It proposes that in those instances where a property owner dedicates property to the city, or where the city takes property for public use, that if that property becomes non-conforming, then if the property were to be non-conforming as it is currently, these regulations will simply say, in any situation where a property owner dedicates property for public use and that developed property would have otherwise been legal non-conforming, we will rather consider it conforming for zoning purposes. In that case, there will not be any requirement for the property owner to go to the Board of Zoning Appeals, spend the time and the money to get a variance.
So if there's an existing building and we need a sliver off the one side that causes the setback to be less than conforming, then we would consider that property conforming.
Conforming.
If it's a vacant piece of property, we still want to take, and we still take that same sliver. What happens?
If it's a vacant piece of property, the only way there can be a non-conformity is that some particular regulation will have to apply that the property no longer conforms to. So something like a setback will not apply because there's no building on the piece of property. A lot coverage will not apply because there's no building on the piece of property.
Our wording says makes a lot, comma, building or structure. Do we need to remove the word lot?
I think, let me make a clarification on that. I think the first from the fourth sentence, the fourth line of the reading.
Okay.
I think that's where the key is. When a dedication of land to the public for the purpose of establishing open space for greenways, trails, parks, streets, slope protection or stream protection makes a lot, building or structure non-conforming with respect to, that's the key, with respect to requirements for minimum yards, we have to say, building setbacks, building coverage, lot area, lot width, lot depth, or required off-street parking. So those are the elements that will apply in this case. So let's say we have a piece of property and the minimum required lot size is supposed to be, is vacant. It's a vacant piece of property. The minimum required lot size is supposed to be half an acre. And we condemn, some piece of that property is dedicated. The property was exactly half acre, legal conforming. And that property owner dedicates 500 square feet of it to the public. It's vacant. With that dedication, it will no longer be conforming with respect to requirements for lot area. Under current regulations, that property owner will have to go to the Board of Zoning Appeals to get a variance, a lot area variance, to develop that piece of property. What these regulations will do is say, because this dedication, this reduction or non-conformity resulted from a dedication of land for public use, you don't need to go to the Board of Zoning Appeals.
Okay.
The second revision, which staff is also proposing, touches on section 4.10.5 of the zoning ordinance. Currently, permanent garbage disposal equipment, basically dumpster enclosures, are required to meet the setback requirements for principal structures. In other words, they are not treated as customary accessory structures. They are treated as principal structures. This regulation seeks to revise this particular section and treat every customary accessory structure the same, except when a piece of property or the dumpster enclosure is proposed on a piece of property that adjoins a residential development, in which case it will have to be 20 feet from the property line for sanitation purposes. The third revision touches on section 6.10.3.2c on rear yard setbacks for ROP, that's planned residential zoning districts. Current regulations as written apply to only to external lots, which are basically corner lots, which means every other lot in an ROP district does not have a rear yard setback requirement as currently written. This cleans it up and provides that every property in an ROP district, when you have property in an ROP district and that lot adjoins a non-ROP district, your rear yard setback will be the same as the required setback in the non-ROP district. If you have a situation, there is one, I think there are actually two, where a couple of residential lots in ROP districts adjoin I2, which requires over 40 feet rear yard setback. What this regulation is saying is, in that case, we will require at most 25 feet. We will not require 40 feet. Because most lots in the ROP districts are very small. So if we start requiring 40 feet, the lot will almost be unbuildable. So that is what the third revision does. The last focuses on section 6.33. The Gateway Overlay District was adopted as section 6.31 of the zoning ordinance in 2013. Prior to that, the University Parkway Overlay, the UPO, had also been officially adopted as section 6.31. So we have two sections that are all numbered officially as section 6.31. There is no section 6.33. What this revision will do is simply change the numbering of the Gateway Overlay District and make it section 6.33 of the zoning ordinance.
Thank you. Do we have any further questions for Asong or staff? No. Any discussion or motion regarding consideration of these zoning ordinances?
although I'm reminded somewhat of trigonometry in high school in this process. I think I understand what you're saying, and I'm making a motion that we approve the modifications to the text that have been suggested by the staff.
A motion, and I'm looking for a second.
Second.
Second, great. I think the non-conforming lots makes a lot of sense. That's really cutting out some problem for people who are really doing something for the good of the city with their land. So, good job for finding that. I think that's really helpful. Will you please call the roll?
Commissioner Lowe?
Yes.
Commissioner Roby?
Yes.
Commissioner Cooper?
Yes.
Commissioner Carter?
Yes.
Commissioner Benedict?
Yes.
Commissioner Pavlich?
Yes.
Commissioner Wise?
Yes.
Chairman Zion?
Yes.
Could we ask the city commission to be a little more vigilant next time when we propose something that's misnumbered?
Well, we would really expect that you would be paying closer attention.
He sure
All
passed it
right,
back to you, didn't he?
item number 6 on our agenda
He's
is
smarter
to
than me.
consider a request for renaming a portion of the state of Franklin from Sunset Drive to the Bristol Highway, Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard. And Angie's here to speak to where we are with that.
Due to the significance of this request, staff would like the Planning Commission to defer this item and to allow a task force to come together and have a conversation as far as options in honoring Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Because what normally occurs at a public hearing, you can't really have a conversation and look what's best for the community. And we would like to do that and join in with the petitioners and have that conversation. So we would recommend that Planning Commission defer the vote until you can appoint a task force, Mr. Chairman, and we can review and discuss our opportunities.
Thank you very much, Angie.
And I would also like to, at some point, allow Mr. Ralph Davis to speak on behalf of the community.
Thank you very much. Mr. Davis, please.
Yes, I do have a statement.
Yes, sir. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for this opportunity. My name is Ralph Davis. I'm the president of the Johnson City, Washington County NAACP here.
Yes, sir.
And I do have a prepared statement here. The NAACP of Washington County has worked extremely hard over the years to advocate for issues pertinent not only to the African American community, but to the community at large. There are many in our community, regardless of their race, gender, or national origin, who support the legacy of Dr. King, and they feel that his message of inclusion is representative of American values, and feel like Johnson City is all-inclusive in that. These feelings and grassroots support and encouragement led our branch to create a committee focused on naming a street after Dr. King in 2008. Since that time, we have discussed many options, the most current option being the renaming of a section of State of Franklin Road. Being a community-oriented grassroots organization, the NAACP of Washington County believes that it is in the best interest of the community to engage in a more collaborative process. Therefore, we support the idea of a task force to meet and offer a recommendation to the full Planning Commission at the upcoming meeting. We are eager to begin this process to continue the strength of our community. And we appreciate the help and support of the community. I feel like we've had some good leadership in the community, and I don't see why this should be a big roadblock either. So thank you for your time.
Thank you very much, Mr. Davis. Thank you. I have to say, just from the chair, I'm excited about the opportunity to do this well as a celebration, as a conversation in the community. And I think that this can come about as something really good. We have some experience with task force with the community in approaching subjects of a significance and coming to a lot of consensus and really feeling good about the product when it comes out instead of just handling it in one night at a commission meeting. And I think this will provide for much more careful thought to make sure that we're really happy with what we come up with. And I think celebrating Dr. King's life is something that's very worthwhile. So I think we're going to really have some good conversation here. I appreciate you bringing it up. So having said that, I think staff's recommendation was for us to defer this until September and then come back from the task force having recommendations for the Planning Commission. And so I need a motion to defer the matter at hand tonight.
Make a motion to defer.
Second.
Do you also need a motion on the commission work?
Yeah. We need I guess when including that, a motion to go ahead and form the task force. for
Should
which
we do two separate motions? Should there be two or just one?
We could probably put it all in one motion, I think.
You can.
Absolutely. So the motion, can you go ahead and state, we're going to go ahead and restate the motion to include deferring it until September and forming a task force. Correct.
Make a motion to defer until September and the creation of a task force to look at this issue.
Fantastic.
Second.
Okay, please call the roll.
Commissioner Lowe?
Yes.
Commissioner Rhodey?
Yes.
Commissioner Cooper?
Yes.
Commissioner Clark?
Yes.
Commissioner Benedict?
Yes.
Commissioner Pavlich?
Yes.
Commissioner Wise?
Yes.
Chairman Zions?
Yes. So having said that, let's not waste any time. The community has been very gracious in helping provide names for recommendations for our task force committee. And I'd like to go ahead and list those names now as folks that I'd like to have see on our task force. And one of them be Mr. Ralph Davis, and another was Mr. Wayne Robertson. Next would be Mr. Mike Cummings. Next would be Mr. Bill Coleman. And a fifth person of the community would be Mr. Mark Red. From our planning commission, I'd like to include Mr. Jeff Benedict, if you'll agree. And
Absolutely.
it'll be my pleasure to help chair that committee in the discussion with the community and staff. So we'll go ahead and begin forming that committee, and the first things that we'll be doing is forming an agenda. How are we going to do this, what questions we want to ask, and how we want to come together. And so the staff has been very good at helping us do that. So I look forward to working with you all. Thank you very, very much. Okay, the next item on our agenda actually is not on the agenda. We amended it to show it at the beginning, which is the appointing a new member from the Planning Commission to the Historic Zoning Commission. And having said that, I'm recommending appointing the person who's not here, Sonny.
Sure.
That works.
That's how we got
Pretty
the last
tricky.
And of course, it'll be contingent upon her acceptance, but I think she would be fantastic at it. So that will be, do we need to go ahead and vote on that, Angie?
That would be great.
Okay. So I'm actually requesting that we appoint Sonny. So do I have a motion and a second for that?
So moved.
Moved in a second.
Second.
All right, we'll call the roll.
Commissioner Lowe?
Yes.
Commissioner Rhodey?
Yes.
Commissioner Cooper?
Yes.
Commissioner Clark?
Yes.
Commissioner Benedict?
Yes.
Commissioner Pavlich?
Yes.
Commissioner Wise?
Yes.
Chairman Zions?
Yes. Okay. Only thing
That's
I-
how we ensure we have a quorum of meetings, by being afraid.
Do we have any, do we have a motion to adjourn?
Well, Mr. Chairman, before we adjourn, I would just acknowledge that this is sort of our New Year's Eve as we've come to the end of a planning commission year, and I just want to acknowledge your leadership as our chairman this year, and I look forward to coming together as a planning commission anew after the 1st of July.
Absolutely. That's true. Very much job.
Great job.
I also like to say that the staff,
Gotta get
of the
this thing out of
city
here.
does a tremendous job.
Why not?
And
He's good
keeps us
for
straight
that.
and very knowledgeable, hardworking.
Unless he doesn't wanna do it.
Y'all do a great job. Thank you very much.
All right, motion to adjourn? Second.
Who's not
Aye.
here tonight except Sunny? Who else is not here?
Henny.
Any, oh yeah.